It's the WaitingForNextYear.com podcast. I'm your host, Craig Lindell, and those longtime Waiting for Next Year fans know our guest, Brendan Bowers. How's it going, Brendan?
Going good. How you doing, Craig?
I'm doing great. While we were getting ready to start here, I think it's the first time that I can remember in my life seeing LeBron James ejected from a game.
Yeah, it's the first time he ever has been. They said there during the broadcast. It was something to see. Third quarter, all those people that came to see LeBron, whole another quarter of action to go, and he's in the locker room. And it happened quick too. It happened real quick.
Yeah, that guy had a very, very short fuse or a quick trigger, whatever you want to say. Cavs are leading by a lot, but yeah, I mean for LeBron to get kicked out in the third quarter is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I'd love to know what he said. I wish he was mic'd up right there. I mean, he must have said something to get tossed that quick, because he wasn't talking to the ref very long, before he got ejected.
You know, I guess when you've been in the league as long as LeBron, these refs are just tired of him already.
Yeah, they must be, because, just to think of it, I mean, this is his 15th year. He complains after almost every play where he thinks he got fouled. And he's done that for 15 years and never been ejected. This guy is he's probably like, this is just for all my buddies that never ejected him in the past.
Yeah. All right, so Brendan used to be a weekend guy at Waiting for Next Year. You wrote at Slam Magazine. The last time you were on this podcast, I think you were promoting your first book, Cleveland is King. And now you've got a new one, LeBron James versus the NBA. And I saw you did a book signing. What's it like to do book signings?
It's kind of awkward, to be honest with you, because you're sitting there, you're driving there hoping that somebody shows up. The place is, they're hoping to like sell books, with you being there. So it's pretty awkward, but luckily the last book signing was in Menor, which is where, I went to high school and kind of grew up over in that area. So had a decent turnout, but it is kind of awkward sitting there at the table, especially at the Barnes Noble in Menor. I was sitting right by the front door. So every single person that came in, I said hello to. People were asking me about their Nook and how to get that fixed and updated. So answered a lot of questions.
It's funny too, because you're a nice guy, you're affable, but you're not exactly like Mr. Gregarious, like working the front of a booth in
Right.
Vegas, going, "Hey, come on in, let me tell you about my book, and then you can buy it, and I'll sign it for you."
Right, exactly. Like I wish I could do that. I wish I was better at that. But it's not exactly my MO. So, at times it was a little awkward, but in the end it was fun. It was a good turnout. And it was great. It was a good time.
So I actually, you and I know each other personally, and you reached out to me and mentioned coming on the podcast. And of course I was more than happy to have you, but then also your people now, the publishing people, also reached out to me and they were like, "Hey, could we send you a copy of the book?" And I finally stopped even pretending that, like, the last book that I quote unquote read was the Windhurst McMenamin book, because there was an audiobook. Like, I only do audiobooks now because I'm that guy and I'm a jerk. And so I was just like, if there's no audiobook, I don't want you to like send me something that I'm not actually going to read. Like, as much as I'm sure the book is great, it's just not my format anymore. But so I haven't read it. That's the long way of me saying I haven't read it. So tell me kind of what it's all about.
Well, it's part of a series from Triumph Books, and they have a greatest ever series. So they had, Ben Axelrod did one on Urban Meyer as the greatest college coach. They have the greatest quarterback ever, baseball, hockey, and so on. So it's part of a series, and that's the series. And then, it's obviously the NBA one, and it's LeBron, and we talked about LeBron in contrast to, 15 NBA legends that, 15 of the greatest players, ever play, Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and so on down the list, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. So we talked about, had chapters on each one of those guys, but I guess the one thing that would be unique about it, within the series is I tried to compare I didn't want to compare like LeBron in terms of like a scorer to Jordan or, assists to Magic, because the game changes, so much. You look at like Bill Russell, who we have a chapter on Bill Russell in the book. He played before there was a 3-point line. You look at, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He played his first 10 years before there was a 3-point line. You look at Jordan. He played during an era when you could hand check. So I didn't want to, kind of compare era to era. So I created a metric called legacy points, which the legacy points take everyone that ever won an MVP award, and they get 7 points for winning an MVP, 10 points for every championship, and 3 points for every All-Star. And then I ranked, all the basically legends or people who won an MVP, ranked them according to those legacy points from 15 to 1. And then, identified a path forward for LeBron if he was able to, continue playing like he is in year 15, for the next, 3, 4, 5 years, continue to have the type of accomplishments he's had over the last, several years. It kind of identified a path forward, for him to catch Michael Jordan as the greatest player in the 3-point era. And he ends up having the most legacy points in the 3-point era. So it does that, but then at the same time, we talk about LeBron's career. There's a chapter on every year of his career, as well as what he's done off the court. Every commercial he's ever been in. Things he's done in the community, things along those lines. So it's LeBron on and off the court, and then mixed in with each one of those legend chapters. And I tried to write the legend chapters kind of like a ESPN 30 for 30, like kind of talk about like a moment in those people's career. So that's kind of how the book's outlined.
Yeah, and on the one hand, it's sometimes it feels too early to try and figure out where LeBron fits in, but on the other hand, he's already outlasted. He's still making all-star teams and garnering MVP votes where Dwayne Wade is kind of clearly on the back nine of his career. Chris Bosh is injured and out of the league. He's already outlasted so many of his peers that it's hard not to look at him and his legacy overall, even though he's not done and seems like he's kind of far from being finished.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of tried to use that legacy points metric to keep it open-ended, in the sense that he can continue to win MVP awards. He might win one this year. He's on pace to win one this year. If you think about the fact that he's shooting his best field goal percentage of all time from the field this year, his best 3-point percentage from the field this year, and he's averaging more points, rebounds, and assists than he did in 2012 and in 2013, which is the last 2 times when he won an MVP. So I think that I tried to kind of leave that door open and kind of illustrate that where he stands right now is number 9. He's just ahead of Shaquille O'Neal, in terms of legacy points. But over the next I'd say 5-6 years, he has an opportunity to get to the top of that list, and he's playing like I just kind of outlined. He's playing his best basketball of his career right now in year 15. So nobody takes care of his body the way LeBron has when you look back. And he's obviously had, the benefit of, modern science and modern health, that guys like, Jordan and Bill Russell and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, didn't have. So,
yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see how long this
I'd never even heard of cryotherapy until LeBron.
Right. Yeah, I never did either.
And he apparently has got one of those in his house now.
Yeah, he's, personal masseuse, personal yoga person, obviously a dietitian, chef. He's got everything. So I think really when we look back like 15 years from now, I think what's going to really separate LeBron is how good he was for so long. I think that, while Jordan, he'll always have the fact that he went to 6 championships and won all 6. But how good LeBron was for as long as he's going to be good, I think is really going to be, what really is, his differentiating point, amongst all the legends.
So have you even bothered to think even for a second about LeBron after this season? I've been on different podcasts other than my own, and I've talked about it a lot. Like, I don't even really think about it anymore. I'm just trying to enjoy every minute of LeBron in a Cavaliers uniform, and I obviously hope he stays forever. But I just wonder, is that something you even think about anymore? Somebody who's now kind of basically written 2 books about the guy?
No, I don't really, think about it like that. But people do, like you said, like they've asked you, and like you mentioned that book signing. I mean, probably 6 or 7 people asked me walking by, "You think he's going to stay? You think he's going to stay?" So I mean, like that's what people do ask. But I'm with you. I think, if as Cavs fans, which we are first and at least what I am, first and foremost as a Cavs fan.
Hell yes.
You'd be, doing yourself a disservice to not enjoy this season because, like we just outlined, LeBron's playing as good as he ever has. It doesn't really make sense that's happening in year 15, but it is. And, if you don't enjoy that now, who knows what next year could bring. And who knows how long he's going to be playing like this. So I think you do have to just live in the moment, live in this season, and enjoy what's happening right now. And just, we've been through the worst, so whatever happens, from here on out is whatever's going to happen.
All right, so let's dig up some recent history because I haven't talked to you about it. How crazy was the Cavaliers offseason this offseason, from Griff to Kyrie demanding a trade to assigning Derrick Rose of all people? And honestly, I think a lot of us thought that it was awkward and weird and maybe potentially bad even from the get-go. So it's not hindsight necessarily, but like, what do you make of this offseason, especially now that we've been through a few months of the season?
The Griff thing is definitely weird. There's a guy that helped engineer an NBA championship, and you don't want to bring him back. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. You wonder if he brought Griff back, did he have anything to do with Kyrie? Like, would Kyrie have not demanded a trade if David Griffin was back? There's no way to know. But like, the Kyrie thing is a devastating blow because as good as the bench is playing right now, and they're a top 5 scoring bench in the league right now. They had a ton of points last night. And as good as Isaiah Thomas could be when he comes back, I mean, you can't lose Kyrie Irving and be better in today's NBA, in my opinion. So I mean, that was a tough blow, and I think that's one that's going to really sting, in the postseason as well.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, where I kept telling people, like, I get what's going on with Kyrie, but there's no way that you can actually make your team better by getting rid of Kyrie Irving. There's no haul good enough. Anything that you get is going to be, even if you get 4 players that add them all up, they're worth more when it comes down to that crunch time possession, and you need that one big shot. There's nobody you'd rather have than Kyrie alongside LeBron to hit that shot like we saw against Golden State. So, but that being said, I haven't seen Isaiah Thomas play yet. It sounds like he's going to be back sooner rather than later.
No, and I'm a huge Isaiah Thomas fan. I mean, I think that he can. I think he'll be a difference maker. Obviously, they're playing great right now. They got the winning streak going right now, and it's going to continue tonight, even without LeBron in the fourth quarter. But Isaiah Thomas, I'm a big fan of his. I think that the way he plays, he has to play hard. Like, from his position, obviously he can't defend that well. He's not going to help on the defensive end. But I think where he's going to help the most is he has to play hard to be effective, at his size. And I think that energy and that work ethic is contagious. And I think that he's going to help, the rest of the team, when they get to lulls in the season. I think he's going to help spark energy. Not to mention be able to knock down, shots from 3-point range and create offense. So I'm a big fan of Isaiah Thomas. I think he's, about as good as the Cavs could have done, in a Kyrie Irving trade. and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what he can bring when he gets back.
It's unfortunate, man, because I talked a lot of trash about Isaiah Thomas and talked about how, at his size, he was a kind of a gimmick player or not somebody you could count on, and now I kind of have to count on him.
Yeah, that's funny, and I just feel like, honestly, when I was writing for Slam, I did an article for Kicks magazine on Isaiah Thomas his rookie year. In his rookie year, and the story was the story or whatever was, here's the guy that got drafted 60th, and he made it in the league for 1 year. He made it his rookie year. He was on a roster and he played all year. And I met with him, and I'm literally how tall I am. I'm literally 2 inches taller than Isaiah Thomas. I swear to God, I was standing face to face with him. I'm taller than him. And it's just amazing. So ever since then, I've just been amazed that, okay, this guy's shorter than I am. This magazine did a story on the fact that he made it in the league. That was it. Just he made it in the league, basically. And then, last year he's 5th in the league for MVP voting. It's insane.
Well, and there's still some Boston fans, even as much as they're enjoying Kyrie, who just feel really bad about the way the Celtics kind of did him in terms of business. But you can't really blame the Celtics, can you?
No, you can't, because the NBA's, you win based on having whoever has the most of those top 15 players in the league on their team. That's who wins, basically. If you're just going to sum it all up, whoever has the most top 15 players wins. And if you can get a chance at getting a hold of one of those guys, and as good as, even though Isaiah was in the top 5, he's not necessarily a top 10, top 12, top 15 player in the league necessarily, in the sense that Kyrie is. Kyrie's probably top 10. You got to get one. And yeah, they definitely did him dirty, with his sister dying and everything like that, and him playing. But you do have to get Kyrie Irving if you can get him.
So are we just kind of biding our time until Golden State wins another championship?
I hate to say that, but I feel like no one in the East is going to beat LeBron. LeBron's coming out of the East. I don't care what team he's on, but then when you get to the finals, I don't see how the Cavs have enough to beat the Warriors or even the Rockets, in a 7-game series. But I don't know. I feel but then again, you have to get to the finals to win it, and I think they can get there. So I guess you never know what could happen.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way too. I know that, okay, so let's say the Cavs and Warriors make the finals again. The Cavs are still only I don't know, maybe 30-35% chance of winning. But
yeah,
when you've got Kyle Korver, J.R. Smith, and Kevin Love, you've got a chance to win any individual game just by bombing from 3 like a crazy person.
Yeah. Or Draymond Green, when they won the championship in 2016, Draymond Green gets ejected. You win that game. You win the next game, or get suspended. You win the next game. Something like that could happen. One of those guys are out for some reason. Or win that next game.
I'll use the 2015 Cavaliers and their injuries as an example, not saying I'm rooting for Golden State injuries, just acknowledging that we've seen them happen to the Cavaliers before. Anything can happen.
Right, absolutely.
I mean, I'm old now, so I'm far beyond rooting for anybody else's injuries, but I'm also old enough to realize that, holy hell, getting old sucks and injuries are a real possibility.
Yeah, they are. And the Warriors are a year older, and they've been playing a lot of basketball over the last, 3-4 years. So there's a lot of miles on their knees. So you never know. But yeah, it doesn't feel like the Cavs have a championship team right now. But then again, I as good as Boston's playing, there's no way Boston's eliminating LeBron, Kevin Love from the Eastern Conference Finals. They're not going to do that. So
yeah,
so they're there. It's a weird. It's a weird thing. It's you feel like it's a guarantee that they're in the finals, and then you feel like that gap is big once they get there, but you never know what happens.
So another thing that kind of shows me just how special an athlete LeBron James is. And I'm just making things up. I don't really know that this is why he's banged up, but I look at Tristan Thompson, and you were talking about a hustle player, an energy guy who can't stay healthy right now. It seemed like he was a little bit banged up towards the end of last year too. And it just goes to show, when you play the number of extra games that LeBron drags you to by taking you deep on every playoff run, like only certain guys, only one guy that we know of can log those minutes and remain just as effective, and that's LeBron James. Do you think Tristan Thompson wearing down just has a lot to do? Do you think it has a lot to do with just playing so many extra games and so many extra minutes?
Yeah, it could too, especially when you consider Tristan, had that consecutive game streak, so he didn't miss any, regular season games for I think it was 2.5, 3 years. He didn't miss any regular season games, and then he's going to the finals in 2015, 2016, and in last year. So yeah, I definitely think that those extra miles could wear on you, which, getting back to LeBron, it makes it amazing to think that LeBron's never had that, knock on wood, that devastating, injury, or that injury that even kept him out a month or two, based on all the games he's played. I saw a writer for ESPN, I forget who it was, but he said that he calculated it out, and LeBron's played an extra two and a half seasons or something like that. Based on the postseason and everything that he's played. So, those extra games definitely got to take a toll.
Yeah. All right. So what's next for you? You've written 2 books now. Is there another one on the horizon? I mean, what's next for Brendan Bowers?
Yeah, I don't know. There's not another one on the horizon right now. I'd definitely like to do something. I was, writing for a while, with Slam, and then I stopped and I did these 2 books, and then the second one took me a long time. It was a pretty high word count for me to do, and once I got that done, it was kind of a long process. Once I was done writing it, there was a couple editing phases, and went through that and basically just wrapped that up. So I literally was thinking the other day, what I should start doing next, from a writing standpoint, and haven't really figured it out yet, but I'll definitely let you know as soon as I do.
Yeah, well, and let's try and talk a little bit more frequently than just whenever you release a book. I'm so bad at booking this thing. I've basically stopped booking guests, except the people who, I talk to Ben Axelrod every week because I actually go to WKYC. I've just gotten really lazy at booking this thing. I shouldn't say that on the podcast.
That's okay. Yeah, no, you're definitely right. We should, definitely talk, especially since I don't have another book on the horizon at the moment. We should definitely talk more often than that.
And we could talk, when the season really gets cooking, because that's something I wanted to ask. I forgot to ask before I started my little wrap-up routine here. What at this point, the fact that I have not started thinking about whether LeBron's going to leave or not also causes me to not think that much about the Brooklyn pick and what the Cavs should do or not do, or if they might use it. Do you have any kind of a feel for what the Cavaliers should or shouldn't do with that pick?
I would love to trade it for, if you can get a quality starter that can come in and play right now. I know that's probably not the most, the best thing to do long term, but like we were talking about before, I'm living for the moment. And I mean, the name people threw around before the season, I mean, he's having a great season so far, so I don't know if it's possible, but a DeMarcus Cousins or somebody like that, if you could trade that pick and get somebody like that, I would do it rather than, holding it and drafting a rookie that, even if LeBron stays, he's not going to help LeBron next year in year 16. So, I'd love to move it at the deadline if that was possible.
So, your dream scenario is DeMarcus Cousins?
Yeah, I suppose it is, since he's the guy I named.
All right. Well, I saw, and this is based on nothing other than one tweet I saw from one person, but Oklahoma City is 8-11. Like, would you take a chance on Paul George with that pick, or are you just so much assuming that he's going to the Lakers?
Yeah, I'd take a chance on Paul George with that pick for sure. Yeah, I would definitely do that.
Could you imagine Paul George lining up next to LeBron?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And Isaiah Thomas?
Yeah, I would do that. And that's something that might get both of those guys to stay here next year. Yeah, I would definitely I'd go Paul George over DeMarcus Cousins. I didn't think that was a possibility, but if it was, I would do that first.
I'm just quoting some random dude on Twitter.
That's okay. Don't worry about it.
All right, Brendan. Well, certainly anytime you feel like throwing out a blog post, man, you let us know.
All right, I will.
We'd be happy
maybe that would be my next move. That's a good idea.
It's a good way to go broke, man.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Well, it's been good. Let's tell everybody where to get the book again. Obviously, Amazon.com. Where's the best place to buy the book for you? Or do you not care? Are you agnostic?
Yeah, I don't care. You can buy it at Amazon.com. It's at Barnes & Noble, TriumphBooks.com, or wherever books are sold.
I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say that the best place for your business is TriumphBooks.com. If people buy it directly from Triumph. Oh, this is really cool, though. So I'm looking at your Amazon page, and it says customers also bought items by Terry Pluto, Brian Windhurst, and Shea Serrano.
Yeah, that's a nice list. Huh?
That's
I'll take
awesome, dude.
It was me buying all those other people's books.
Yes, and you've got 5-star review on LeBron James versus the NBA, and I'm not talking about, it wasn't like just your mom. There are 12 people who've reviewed this.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate you noticing that. A couple of those are verified purchasers too. I'm not sure if that makes it better, but I definitely look at that. I was waiting for the bad reviews, and I was like, oh, there hasn't been any yet.
All right. Well, it's been fun. Brendan Bowers, LeBron James versus the NBA is the book. It's available locally. I've seen it. I think I even saw a copy in Drug Mart. I don't know if that's possible, but I think I saw a copy in Drug Mart.
I think it's possible. Yeah, Walgreens, I think, has it also.
So,
but if we do come out with an audio book, I'm going to definitely send you that.
I'm going to buy a copy. I'm just going to read it. I'm going to release it myself as an audiobook.
Oh, that would be awesome. I'll talk to Triumph, see if they can pay you to do that. That would be sweet.
Oh,
if you could read it.
That'd be hysterical. All right,
that would be great.
Oh, thanks, man. This has been fun. And for everybody listening, check out that book. I'll have it linked up in the show notes. We'll talk to you soon. It's been the waitingfornextyear.com podcast.
All right. Thanks, Craig. Appreciate it.